Mr. Nathaniel Karp, you're the chief U.S. economist with BBVA Group. Thank you so much for coming to our studios. Thank you for coming here for this interview about the very important data that came out today, the non-farm payroll data and the unemployment rate. How should we read those two data?
Well, the numbers came better than expected, so that's the good news. However, we're still seeing a lot of drag from the unemployment side. The unemployment is still pretty high. We still need to generate more jobs to have a self-sustainable recovery led by the private sector. And we're getting there, but at a very slow pace.
And how many jobs does the economy need to see per month to expand, in your opinion, if this is not good, as you said, or good, sufficient enough?
Sure. We need to get about 120,000 per month just to keep the unemployment rate stable. But as you know, the unemployment rate is about 9.1%. It's very high. The duration of the unemployment, the number of people that have been laid off for more than 6 months, it's very high. It's one of the highest. The level of unemployment for young people is very high. So we need to have much stronger growth rates, maybe 200 to 300,000 per month. But that's very unlikely in today's environment.
Everybody is talking about the global economy slipping into a recession. Now, should we forget about those thoughts now that that came better than expected, or should we think otherwise?
Well, we still think that there's about 1 in 3 chances of the U.S. economy going into recession, and that it's not only dependent on the U.S. political nightmare that we have, or this sort of lack of consensus as we move forward, but the global situation, what we had in the Middle East, the oil shock, the Japanese tsunami, also the European debt crisis, all that, the Chinese uncertainty, all that feeds into the equation. So the fact that we have very slow growth abroad is feeding into the U.S. That keeps uncertainty very high, and that also creates this negative feedback loop, and that keeps the U.S. economy from growing at a much slower rate than what we would need to.
What is your rate?
We're expecting 1.6% for GDP for 2011 and 2.3% for 2012 and thereafter. So it's about 1% lower than the historical average. So potential GDP is very low. And that reflects that there are still a lot of structural challenges in the U.S. You still have to regain that competitiveness that the U.S. has lost over the last few years in terms of education, energy policy, immigration, healthcare, and all that puts a lid in the pace of the U.S. growth.
I know you are one of the top 10 forecasters by Bloomberg Best. So you're best. You're the best. My producers just asked me a question which is not relevant directly to the U.S. unemployment rate, and I feel free to tell me if you like to answer. They're asking a question about BBVA and Garanti Bankası. It's a Turkish bank. It's a different question right now, but that's why I'm asking you. They want you to evaluate the investment that BBVA wants to do in the Turkish Garanti Bank. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I can't answer that question. That would have to be someone from the BBVA team involved in the operation. I think the most important thing for us is that BBVA is looking for a lot of opportunities in this world. Emerging markets, as you know, are the main driving force of the global growth, and they will continue to do so in the next decade and even farther. So that's why you have these investments going on in Asia, China, Eastern Europe, Turkey, and so on, Latin America. And that for BBVA is very important because emerging markets are the main driving force also for the bank's business. So that's part of the thinking and the strategic reasoning for investing in these great opportunities that we see.
Thank you so much for answering that question for my producer. And now I want to come back to the U.S., if you don't mind. Let's talk about the U.S. unemployment rate and also the non-farm payrolls, because that really surprised us. Yeah. Should we be surprised? Because PIMCO today's PIMCO's one of the executives says, growth says jobs gains not enough to grow economy. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he's making the same point that I was trying to make, in the sense that even though we had a positive result, it was positive because the expectations were much weaker after last month's report. But that doesn't mean that we still don't face these challenges. I mean, think about, for example, just construction and manufacturing contributed to about 50% of the decline in jobs during the recession, and they've only managed to contribute about 10 to 13% of the recovery. So there's still a long way in terms of construction job losses. Retail trade is basically the same. And if we want to have a strong job recovery, we need to see more job creation in these sectors. And that's very difficult because the construction sector is practically paralyzed. So we need to see something happening out there. Otherwise, these people that have skills in sectors where jobs are not being created, and businesses that are hiring are looking for people, but they can't find the right or the adequate people in terms of skills. So we have this mismatch in skills that's keeping a lot of people from being employed. A lot of businesses don't find the right people to hire, and this creates this very high unemployment.
It's all tied to the housing sector, as you said. I understand that also because of the construction. And my last question, and we have 50 seconds, my producers that are telling me. Obama gave a speech on live TV yesterday about the jobs bill. In terms of the numbers that came today and your analysis, what do you want to see the government do about it so that we can improve, we can get out of these numbers and get to the better ones?
I think it's very difficult for the government or for any particular policy to just act like the silver bullet. There's no silver bullet here. The main issue for the government is to focus on the government paralysis. They need to get some consensus in terms of the fiscal reform, the long-term fiscal structure. A lot of the uncertainty that we have in today's world in terms of why businesses are not hiring depends also on the lack of this political consensus. So the best thing for us would be for Washington to get its act together.
Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your coming, and I appreciate those valuable comments.
Thank you very much, and greetings to all the customers in Guarantee.